Are you trusting of new innovations like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, or Verbal? Don't know what they are? Anyway, these are the new taxis and hotels I just mentioned to you, ladies and gentlemen. But as you may very well know, they do not come without problems, issues, violence, and even death. On Saturday, August 7th, an Airbnb in Sunnyvale, California. Now, Sunnyvale is about 6 or 7 miles from San Jose and about 55 miles south of San Francisco. Well, anyway, one of these rental parties became the latest statistic with the millennial giant that has outsiders to include neighbors of what has turned into animal houses to vacate, hunker down, and even arm themselves. Rental Remorse is today's episode on the fabulous form factor, coming up next.
Want to hear something fabulous? Broadcast in a forum and full of facts? Well, you've come to the right place. It's the Fabulous Forum Factor podcast with all its pizzazz. And now here's your host, Mr. Kenneth Moultrie.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fabulous Forum Factor. And I am your host, Kenneth Moultrie, here on this Monday, August 9th, in the year of 2021. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for all of your support over the past 8 or 9 months as I approach show number 100. I think this is show or episode number 89. And I am, like I said, pushing toward show 100, where I hope to do something very, very special. But as always, before I begin, I would kindly like that if you would comment, like, share, subscribe, and anything that's necessary to promote any episode that I produce of the Fabulous Forum Factor, it will be greatly appreciated. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to talk about specifically Airbnbs and what happened a couple of nights ago on August 7th in Sunnyvale was a typical, what's been going on with these Airbnbs since its inception some years ago. It has become the millennial way of staying in hotels and to give parties. And in this case, this is what happened. There were 200 juveniles at this particular Airbnb house. Now, I'm going to cover a story that happened in my dear San Francisco Bay Area in the year 2019 that actually regulated new measures to stop Airbnbs to have parties. So really what they're supposed to be for now is they're supposed to be just vacation rentals, for people actually going on vacations or something like that. They're really not supposed to be for locals to just come in there to rent a better house so they can bring 200 or 300 people in there and have a shindig, right? It's not supposed to be like that because you know what's going to happen, like what happened in this story, what happened in the story in the Bay Area, in Orinda, California. So this is what it's come to. But in Sunnyvale the other night, one person was dead, 2 people were shot. There were near, like I say, about 200 juveniles at this Airbnb party. Most of them aged between 16 and 19. The police were called there for a musical disturbance, or in other words, loud music. It happened around 10:20 in the evening when police were called. They get there, and then all of a sudden, once police show up, or right before they showed up, here's shooting starts, right? There's a lot of disturbance. People are running around outside. And you know what happens these days with shooting a lot of times? There's stray bullets going everywhere. People are running. You have neighbors who, these are residential areas, obviously. And neighbors are, sitting at the window watching TV or just moving about their homes. And they're getting shot. They're getting their windows being, blasted out, car windows and everything because, like they said, bullets do not have a name on them. They don't know where they're going. And everything is going on with these Airbnb animal houses. So they're, in Sunnyvale the other night, like I said, one person was dead in the shooting. And it's going to come down, or it has been coming down to the renters of the property, to the people that are coming in there. Now, there are ways. I have a solution to how it may be stopped. I'll cover it later. But, have you heard of I know everyone has heard of them. Have you rented out an Airbnb? I have never rented out an Airbnb, but I have been part of an Airbnb rental with relatives. Now, everyone in the house, now both occasions, it was the same exact relatives, and it was about 12 to 13 of us. And like I said, we're all related. And there was no outsiders. Did we have a party? Yes, but we're older adults, so we're not going to be playing loud music. Our party, what we call a party, is just cooking a lot of food. Kicking a lot of food, having some drinks, telling jokes, telling stories and stuff like that. We ain't gonna be, playing no bunch of, loud reggae music or rap music. We're not into that kind of stuff. So, we're not gonna get the complaints, and we're not going to we're responsible adults. We're not going to trash the house, and whatever we mess up or whatever we did mess up, we did clean up. So we had no issues there. But we're talking about youngsters, as you know, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have that particular integrity that someone older may have. All they're looking to do is have a good time and to say they were in some type of a house or something like that, or a home, or even as some describe, a mansion. Now, these Airbnb parties that these youngsters are doing, they are advertising them on social media. So it's kind of like a come one, come all type thing, So look, they're putting it out there, and, so they're getting people that they don't know. And if there's some beef going on between individuals that are there that, that may not be invited initially, they're going to know who's there, and that's how trouble jumps off. So in this particular party in Sunnyvale, a San Jose councilman who lives in the area, he's going to explain now to you what he saw and what he heard that particular night.
It was 10 minutes straight of just cars and people walking past my street, which is not a lot of traffic around that time. And so I figured it was a house party. I looked out my window, saw it was a lot of younger people.
No. So he's saying younger people, right? You know what that means, right? That means they're black people, because he caught himself. Did you hear that? He wanted to say that it was black people because he was trying to fully describe what he saw, but he caught himself and he said just a bunch of and then he said what he said. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, we know this is what goes on because young people, they don't have the means or the resources to possess these types of domains, and so they are going to find their way to buy their way into feeling big for that day, feeling big for that weekend, until their friends. So they're going to buy an Airbnb or rent an Airbnb for their pleasure, and then most times, young people don't roll with 2 or 3 people. They don't roll in couples. They roll with a posse. They roll with 200 people and whatnot. So that's a party to them. And like I said, when they put it on social media, you don't know who's coming to the party. So this is what goes on. And so there are stipulations that is now in place as for an Airbnb rental. And, they are looking at what who's renting it. They're looking at credit levels and whatnot. And if I was in charge of an Airbnb or in the system that were allowed to rent to potential renters, this is one thing that I would have. First of all, I'll take the rental car approach, because I used to work in car rental, and I know there were some stipulations for people who live locally. And one of them was that, as car rental, if you rent a car, they ask for a major credit card, not a debit card. Now, some rental car companies will take a debit card, but they mainly take credit cards. Now, the rental car company I worked for, we took a debit card only on one occasion. Now, first of all, we didn't rent debit cards to people who lived in Los Angeles. That was locally. We didn't. We only took debit cards from people who had round trip airplane tickets. So in other words, if they were coming in town, they had to show us a round trip ticket. So we knew when they were going back, they were here for vacation and vacation only. They weren't just in town and or just lived here and just doing something frivolous or malicious or something like that. So that would be the same idea, or at least one of the ideas that I would have with an Airbnb. First of all, you would have to have a major credit card, period. There would be no rentals with debit cards or anything like that. Second of all, you would have to have, because it's like supposed to be a vacation rental, so you need to have a round trip air ticket to show me that you're legit. So I don't care where you're coming from, but I need to see on the ticket when you are coming in and when you are leaving. And in addition, I need that from at least 2 individuals. Okay, so to me, I don't see where one person would need an Airbnb. So if you're coming with your spouse or girlfriend or even a party, I don't mean that kind of party, I mean a group, I need to see round trip tickets from at least 2 people in that particular party or who are staying at that house. Okay, that would be 2 ways to eliminate the riffraff. Okay, and then you would not be staying just one night. Okay, you'd have to stay at least 3 nights, because look, once again, if it's a vacation, ladies and gentlemen, what vacation is going to be lasting one night? If that tells me you're just coming for destruction, you're just coming to have a big whoop whoop, right? And I don't know what's going to happen to my place, and I don't know what's going to happen to my good neighbors either, who's not going to want me there, and I'm going to take down the value of the neighborhood when I bring these hood rats into my neighborhood. So no way, I'm not doing it, right? You have to have some stipulations in line for you to come and rent my Airbnb, or if I was CEO or the manager, that's what I would have in place. And those are just 2 or 3, but there might be 1 or 2 more that I would come up with. But there would be some type of a guideline, folks, that I would have that would regulate safety and reputation for my Airbnb rental. Now, I want to get to this story. Now, you may have heard this. This happened on Halloween night 2019 in Orinda, California. Now, Orinda, O-R-I-N-D-A, Orinda is a very well-to-do little town, okay? You live in Orinda, pretty much you are working class. You probably have 2 incomes. You are doing well for yourself in Orinda. It is very expensive, and they have some very nice homes and whatnot in Orinda, California. However, ladies and gentlemen, Orinda is not too far from Oakland. Let me see. Let me get my math right. Let me see. I would say driving distance from Oakland, it's probably about 12, 13 miles. Enough said, okay? And since Oakland and San Francisco are only 5 miles apart, only separated by a bridge, that makes it about 15, 16, 17 miles from good old San Francisco, okay? So you got the San Francisco element and you got the Oakland element within 15 miles of Orinda. Okay, so this is where this incident took place on Halloween night 2019. So these individuals lived in San Francisco who rented this house. Now, this was a $1.2 million house. Sounds like a lot, but by Orinda standards, that's kind of like middle of the road. Okay, 1.2 million. The house was going for Airbnb rental for $430 a night. Once again, middle of the road for Orinda and that particular area. So the rental, like I said, was a one-night rental for on Halloween night. And once again, this was advertised on